Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's the radioactive pop with Danny Limelight, United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance blog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Poppy.
Welcome. Do you know who I am?
Who the hell are you?
Who are those guys?
And then there's the other guys.
We're the other guys. We're the guys nobody ever bets on.
Just what is it that you want to do?
We want to get loaded, and we want to have a good time.
Okay, let's party.
Let me talk to you.
I'm building an alliance.
Will you join us?
It's showtime.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment.
You're not here, you missing out, because this show...
Ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome. All right, listen up.
And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
Now here's the other Alliance guys, Tim, Jeremy, and Dave.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. What can we tell you? We are the other Alliance guys, a presentation of alliance-wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the United Wrestling Network and other, companies here and there as well. But tonight, we're all UWN, and we're excited about this one, aren't we, fellas?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because we got our man, Daniel R. Hill, the head of creative for Championship Wrestling. And we're going to talk about him and all the stuff he's doing behind the scenes, all of what's going on with the UWN, with the big taping that's coming up, the return dates, all the booking that's going on. Jeremy's rubbing his hands, man. We're super excited to have you guys here. Quick shout out to our man Lam Sun Vu, where everybody knows if you watch the UWN, you're part of the UWN fam. Lam's your man.
I'm a Lam Sun Vu guy.
He's dead because I'm Timmy Grind 2.0 right now, and for our good friends in Memphis down UWN way. Good to see you, Lam. Just before we bring Daniel on, I just want to pull something up I saw just before I came onto the show today. I saw this on Twitter, the 34th anniversary in wrestling of the man himself, Mr. David Marquez. The road, it always makes me chuckle because it's Valentine's Day, and those who really know me know how much I love the business. So ironic. Yet I'm still here, but not without the help of so many. Thank you all for supporting me and allowing me to help others to tell stories on television. That's incredible. So that's a great number of years, and it's great to be able to celebrate something like that.
Yeah.
We have Rosville here, and Media Mike is here as well. Congratulations to Mike for paying off his credit card debt right off the bat here. Good work, Money Mike. Noob and Co. is here. But without further ado, let's bring on to the stage the man himself. He's like, oh, my God, I'm not. We just sidelined you there, Daniel. How you doing this evening?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We are good.
Thanks for having me on, man. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for being here. We're super excited to to have you here. And we kind of recently pivoted to do more UWN, and we've been you guys have been away for a little bit, showing the best of the vault as the hiatus has been in full swing. But we're super excited about what's coming up for you guys.
Yeah, we are too. It's good to be back. One thing, can you all hear me okay? I just want to make sure before we get started. All right, cool. We're super excited to be back. Of course, nobody likes taking, a few months off, but I'm sure we'll get into some of that. But the taping, J-Cal was there. We had a great crowd. And one thing I can say is when you see these tapes, the crowd was red hot from the first match all the way to the last match. And they let us know we missed you. And that was a really good feeling. They responded extremely well. Even to just, some of the undercard and even some of the shorter matches.
Yeah.
But and then of course, the main events with Jordan Cruz versus Judiz, which main events this week's episode, was absolutely fire and a great way to end and that sort of story going into the new year. And then Danny versus Peter Avalon for the world title. As you guys saw on social, you'll see how we get there on the TV show, of course, but you also have to promote matches. And then there's a few surprises coming up too. There's some things that we didn't say on social media that when you watch the show, you'll actually be surprised by too. And some brand new faces as well. So we're excited, and I'm glad you guys are excited. I love the show. I watch you pretty much every week as much as I can.
Oh, great.
I'm also that nerd that watches everything. So I still watch small promotions in Tennessee, and being an OVW guy, of course, I still follow my boys there. But I watch anything I can get my eyes on, so that I know what is out there. I know what the competition is doing. And you can learn a lot too by seeing what others are doing and what's working and what's not working. So,
yeah, absolutely. I'm going to open it up to everybody to just start firing questions to you shortly. But I just wanted to say, I think from all of us, like the UWN is, for me, it's the production value across from start to finish. The booking's great, the cameras are great, the color's great, and everything just seems to tick. What do you kind of? I know that like Dave Marquez Productions is, the ones obviously behind all the UWN and has all the experiences we just said in the world producing TV. What do you equate UWN's like niche expertise in the market to?
Well, first off, like you all said, it's Dave's 34th year in pro wrestling, and most of his career, if not all of it, has been in television. So he really knows what he's doing. And I think one thing that really helps us, and it starts from the top down, from Dave and myself and Peter Avalon, who's also our head of talent relations. Peter also is the booker of Derby City Wrestling, for those who don't know that. And then Todd Kennelly is our head commentator, and for my money, one of the best in the business. He's absolutely great at helping tell the story.
Yeah.
And Todd's also sort of on the creative team too, because he's our live events coordinator. So one thing that we stress to all of the talent is, number one, is organization. So when talent know when they're booked, they know in advance. They get emails with very descriptive instructions on where it's at and when it's taking place and all of that. And one thing that I stress to all the talent is, this isn't an indie show. This is North American professional wrestling television.
Right.
And I can't stress that enough to people. You know, I don't know if you guys know this, but one of my best friends is Aaron Stevens. We're both OBW guys. Aaron and I have had the same agents and acting for years now. We've known each other for a long time. And he's the one, when he was the booker at UWN, he's the one that brought me in during the pandemic to start helping write the show, and then eventually pass the book over to me. But that's one thing that we stress, is that this is a North American professional wrestling television show. Right. This isn't just a bunch of random matches. And one thing that we try to stress creatively as well is every single match has to matter. There has to be a purpose and a reason for this match. And if it doesn't lead directly to something else, it does something for each person that's involved. And I'm all about, as you guys have seen my work for the past 4 years there, I'm all about long-term booking. I'm all about telling the story, planting lots of seeds. And I think that's a lost art on a lot of other companies in the world. Sure, we could rush right away to like Danny Limelight and Slice Boogie. Yeah, anybody can do that. Hot shot booking is easy, but how can you tell the story and stretch it out? You know, I think as Dave Scooby said a few weeks ago, like taffy, right? Just stretching it out. And that's one thing that I really pride myself on. And then from the production standpoint, organization, making sure one thing that we do that's a little of a secret, I guess, is with my experience as a professional actor. And for those fans out there watching or in the chat who don't know, like I played Dusty Rhodes on Young Rock. I've worked with the Russo brothers. I've worked with Ron Howard. I've had a very successful acting career as well. I went to acting school for 7 years. Hey, there we are.
There you go. It's a great shot. The American Dream, baby.
That's it. That was a very tight shirt. But so in finish it, like we treat it as a television show. It's a production. And so I do staggered call times. There's no reason, if we have a bell time of say 7:30 and doors open at 6:30, why do I need every single guy to show up at 11 a.m.?
Right. You're
in the way. You're going to be loud when I'm trying to tell you to be quiet and I'm rolling a backstage segment or I'm filming promos. So we do staggered call times, and that helps us a ton. If I have somebody like Danny Limelight who I need to film 3 backstage segments on, because we tend to do about 3 episodes per taping, yeah, he's going to come in a little earlier. If I've got a guy like Kota Hiro or Jason Levels who's going to come in and do a great job for another guy and do a favor for us, and it's a 5-6 minute match, he doesn't need to be there at noon. You know, like get there a few hours before, talk to your agents. We also have agents and producers for every single match. Yeah. So, you know, and I think that's something, and just being very organized really helps us a ton, because on show day, it's not uncommon for us to get there at 10:30. And from that time until the doors open, I'm on my feet directing backstage segments and promos. As you've seen on the show, I hate just doing promos in front of a screen or a step and repeat. I always try to find different places backstage to give it that vibe, to make it feel more like a show, and change it up. And so just all day long, I'm directing backstage segments and promos until the doors open. And usually that's when we can have our production meeting.
I got to tell you, I really think that you succeed very well at that. Like, my mind immediately went to a segment with before the break with Danny Limelight meeting Tito backstage, and the kids were present. And it didn't look like your classic WWE, you know, The Rock is walking and then, something magically happens. It looked like something that should be plausible. That's what I'm always going for.
Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished. I'm going to let these guys ask some questions. Jeremy, why don't you start and lead off to Dave there?
So you mentioned that you're an overarching storyteller. You like that long form story. What is your process when you go into the booking uh, we'll say 6 months? What are you looking to accomplish in that 6 months?
Sure, great question. I don't think you can get started until you know where you want to go. That's my certain philosophy is, like many other companies, we have these tentpole events, or as people are calling them, premium live events now. We've got the Red Carpet Rumble, we've got Golden Opportunity, which I created, by the way. We've got Milestone. We've had ones in the past, Coastal Clash. And so if I come out of Red Carpet Rumble and I know who won the Rumble, like last year with Invictus Cash and the swerve of him turning babyface, that was one of my proudest moments. Is we turned an Iranian man babyface in a red state, and it worked.
Man. Yeah, that was like Nikita Koloff worthy turn there.
Thank you. Yeah. And so, you come out of the Rumble and you go, okay, I've got Cash here as my Rumble winner, and he can cash in any time. We also had Tito in the number one contender match. Clark Connors just put on a great match at the Rumble to kick things off. Okay, he would be a great opponent to face Danny the next month. That'll give Danny a nice little, thing to do while we're trying to get, circle back to Clearwater. What's going to happen with Clearwater? How is he going to get the title back? And how is him and Cash going to clash for a little bit until we eventually get to Danny and Cash? So I like to know, all right, here's what I have happening at this a big event here. I've got this many weeks of TV before I get to this next big event. This is the card I want at the next event. And so it's almost kind of like working backwards, where I know exactly where I want to go to. And sure, hey, sometimes you pivot. The WWE is trying really hard to do that right now in a certain situation, even though they're trying to sell us really hard that this was the plan all along, which, you expect them to. But so I think you have to know where you want to go. And for me, and this isn't me trying to talk shit about anybody else or anything, or this isn't a jab or a shot at any other booker out there, but you really have to spend time writing the show. You have to, I spend 3 to 4 hours a day. Even after I've already written the first draft, I'll take, all right, here's what we're doing for the next 3 episodes, and I'll email it to the team. But just because I sent a draft over, I still have 3-4 weeks to the next show. I'm going to continue to look at it every day. Is that really necessary? Ooh, I forgot. I've got Papa Esco coming back. He's a good talker. I need to fit him a promo in somewhere. I've got Savannah Stone is the number one contender, for the women's title. And how do I fit her in there beyond just having a match? She should probably talk some. What are we doing with Jack Banning and the institution? And so I send sometimes up to like version 7. And I'll be like, hey, this is the one we're going with. I know you got 6 other versions, but we're 2 days to the show. And so we also, unless we announce the match to the public and it's set in stone, just like with the WWE, the talent find out what they're doing when they show up, for the job. And so we do a really good job of trying to do that as well.
Yeah, fantastic.
You do a phenomenal job of it, too.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. And I'm from Louisville, by the way, so I'm not too far from you.
Okay. I came from Evansville, so yeah.
There you go. I'm in LA now, but yeah, I'm from Louisville.
All right.
Over to you, Scoop.
Well, I was wanting to know about the talent. Would you rather bring in, there's always free agents out and about. Would you rather bring in a free agent and run them through a taping if things work out possibly bring them into the next one, or would you rather do more homegrown talent that you build up from the bottom and everybody gets a chance one way or another?
Sure, great question. I personally, oh, go ahead, Dave. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, go ahead.
My overall philosophy is homegrown, and I think when you look at a lot of the guys that we've built up, some of the proudest things that I've done, and of course, when I say I've done, it's not me. The guys, I still have to have the great talent to pull it off in the ring, right? I'm just the guy behind the scenes producing and directing and writing the show. But when you look at what we did with Jordan Clearwater's world title run, we had Prince Nana available. He came in. I had the idea of, okay, well, Clearwater has that cash in. We've got Invictus Cash available. I then had this 7-footer named Talos available. Nana was there. And I knew I wanted to bring the embassy to United. And Nana is still a good friend of mine to this day. I just saw him backstage at AEW a couple months ago. And he told me, and when he told me, he said, you guys are the reason I got my job at AEW, because Tony watches Hollywood every week, which I think it's no surprise to anybody, because about 40% of their roster came from our show. But when you look at the way we built up Clearwater, and then in unison on a parallel with him, we built up Limelight, and just when you look back to that build, once Jordan won the title, and then Danny won the inaugural Golden Opportunity, and we saw how much heat Clearwater and Nana were getting. We saw how much love Danny were getting. I said, okay, we've got to stretch this out all fall long. Yep. And we did utilize some guys sometimes, like one of the guys I loved working with, and I think there's definitely an open door from both of us, is Chris Masters, Chris Adonis.
Oh, yeah.
Great talent. I think he's actually getting better with age, which is really great to see. Really good brother, easy to work with. He came in and worked with Clearwater. We had Carlito come in, Colt Cabana. So we kind of did that thing with Clearwater that I don't know if a lot of people saw at the time. I think looking back on it, they did, where it wasn't necessarily a Randy Orton legend killer thing, but he was beating a lot of established guys, from Masters to Carlito to Colt Cabana, so on. And so I think that was a really great way of building up Jordan, getting tons of heat. And then, of course, Danny, you all saw the episode where he finally won the title. And, that space in Irvine was really special to us for a couple of years. There was 520 seats, and we sold out almost every month. I can't remember a single month where we had under 375. If it was right after, a big thing where maybe some people didn't come back the next month, we never had under 375. So it was always full. They were loud. They brought signs. They were screaming, that and not my champ and all that stuff. So I was really proud of doing that. Clearwater, I think, is a guy that I honestly don't know why he's not signed to NXT. He just looks, sounds, wrestles, acts like he's ready for WWE. I don't know why he's not there. He's got so much potential. I love working with him. But another guy that I absolutely loved was working with Jack Banning. The first time I worked with Banning in 2021, after the first taping, I said, we're going to have a phone call in a few days. I have an idea. And so he called me a few days later, and I said, you're going to run a cult. And you've been saying that you're from Shady Pines Mental Institution, so we're going to call the group The Institution. And I specifically chose Freeman, Divine, and Honest as like these three guys that he's trying to make pure and show them their ways. And I think, that faction has been one of the most interesting, successful factions probably in the company history. And all of those guys, the whole point to that was, yeah, we have a faction. Unlike all factions, there he is with the new look and everything. I can't wait for you guys to see his new look on
Yeah,
TV.
he just last week, just a year as UWN
That's
TV
it.
champ, right? So
yeah.
I gotta say, not to cut you off, but
Yeah.
I just I love the institution. Jeremy turned me on to the UWN really like a year and a half ago, so I'm fairly new. But can we just all take a second to give Honest John some serious love? Like that guy is a quiet, backbone to that whole group and feel. I think he's awesome.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
Oh, sorry. My youngest son has a friend that looks. If I was to put their pictures up, you swear they were twins. Honest John, and we call the kid Skeletor. And of all three, all four. They're all great, but Honest John there's something that. Oh man,
yeah, he's good. And I know, like he had posted maybe
spectacular.
Yeah, and he had posted like I don't know a year and a half or less ago, like that he was at one point thinking about giving it up and maybe doing something else. And I was just kind of like, gotta hang in there, man. It's so good. It's the stuff you're putting out, so good. I just want to say, got some people who showed up. Matthew Underwood's here. He asked where Clearwater is. Are we? I mean, you can't give away secrets. I know that, but if there's any chance, we'll just say that if there's any chance we can see Jordan again, we want Jordan.
Oh, for sure. I love working with Jordan, I just talked to him on the phone a couple of nights ago. So, he's literally an amazing talent, and I don't care if this makes people roll their eyes and think that I'm rooting for the home team or something, but I personally think that Jordan Clearwater is not just the best heel in our company. I think he's one of the best heels in the wrestling business.
Yeah, there's a lot of talent there for sure. I'm going to put up a question from Lamb, but Pollo Del Mar is here, the manager of champions, the champion of managers, and good to see you again, my friend. But Lamb had asked, how difficult is it to change plans when some guys are getting opportunities overseas and the same time our taping dates happen? Lamb is in the know.
Very difficult. But you find ways of writing around it, right? There's a lot of times there'll be some tapings where, we don't have anybody to an exclusive contract or anything. So there might be some times where somebody's on a roll and it looks like they're going to be up for the heritage title or TV title or world title or something. And we might have to find a way to put that on pause for a taping or two because they're in Japan or they're in Mexico or wherever. And I think sometimes people look at that from a creative side and thinking it's such a headache. But the way I've always seen it, it actually opens up opportunities for other guys to step up where they may not necessarily have had the opportunity. Sure. So I don't know if you guys remember, but August of 2022, I think it was, we did a big taping at the Commerce Casino, and we did a pay-per-view primetime live that was headlined by Clearwater and Willie Mack. And on that taping was when El Primo Genio finally got a win over Lord Crew, when Houston Body got up on the apron and Dom Kubrick jumped and came in and helped out, and the crowd went absolutely crazy. I had told them for months, I said, if you listen to me and we slow play this, we will have a 1, 2, 3 Kid Razor moment. And that's what I was going for. And that's the exact response we got. And on that taping, we had a few people last second who couldn't make it. Zicky had something happen last second. Avalon, a couple other guys. And I told them, I said, we probably wouldn't be able to do this, this soon or maybe ever had we not had a couple of guys out. So I'm always looking for, and this kind of also circle backs to Dave Scooby's question, which is, I'm all for bringing in someone who's gonna help sell tickets, because at the end of the day, asses in the seats matter. And I personally like seeing the crowd, and but we also have a core roster, and I think that's one thing that I really wanted to do when I first got in the booking position, is to carry on what Aaron had already built, but also we had a few locker room cancers and some guys that we needed to weed out, and we did. But I really wanted to build up a core roster, and scouted a bunch of talent all throughout California, throughout Arizona, throughout Vegas, Texas. And I think that's one thing we've done a really good job of, is we may not have anybody to exclusive contract, but when people think of the United Wrestling Network, they think of guys like Jack Banning, like Jordan Cruz, like Danny Limelight, like Slice Boogie. They think of guys even like Jason Levels and Koto Hiro and El Primo Henio, right? So like we have a core roster, and for me, it's always a time of, hey, somebody's flight got canceled. And so guess what? You're going in tonight in a world tag title match, and show us what you got. You've been wanting the opportunity. It's like we tell them at every taping, like, you want to know how you go from having 6-minute matches to 10-minute matches? Do really good in a 6-minute match and stay on time.
Yeah.
And then eventually you'll get your 9 minutes. You want to get 15? Do really good in 9-minute matches for 6 to 8 months.
Right.
You want to get up to 12. You want to get into the main event where it's 16 to 30 minutes long. Prove it. Prove that you can hit your times on time without going over, and tell the story and everything without just thinking about, I got to get my shit in.
Right. Jeremy, you had a question that's kind of related next up on your list here. You want to?
Yeah. Has there ever been a booking that you looked back on and said, I probably shouldn't have gone that route, or I probably should have gone a different route?
Actually, yes. We did a strong pivot. I think it could have worked out the other way too, but when a couple of things was, number one, if you remember, Savannah Stone was initially courted by Houston Body.
Yes.
And everybody thought she was going to join Houston Body and be a part of, the Prism. And because then we were bringing in Sledge, and we were bringing in some other people, which, and kudos to him. I mean, what a transformation that guy made. But we all of a sudden needed a new member of the institution, and I didn't want the institution to die off. It was too important. Jack was cooking. The other guys were cooking. When they would come out, fans would do the salute to them, and so I thought, well, we still have the tag team, and then Jack's the singles. I'll bring in a woman. And we thought for a while about who it could be. And finally I said, it's going to be Savannah Stone. And everybody said, well, how? I mean, you're putting her with Houston. I said, we swerve it, baby. It's what we do. We hit them with that nana and swerve them. And so I think that was a time where we really had to pivot, and because it just made more sense. And then there were some other sometimes things are great on paper, and they work really great storyline wise, but when they finally happen or they're executed, they may not just be executed as well as they could have been. I think when we got ready to start up Derby City Wrestling, and we wanted Lord Crew to be a fixture of Derby City Wrestling, we told a really good story of him, losing the Loser Leaves Town match.
Yeah.
but I don't think the match itself lived up to the storyline hype. We still got the same story out of it, and we still did a really good way of bringing him back. But the match itself was just not as strong as it should have been for a blow off angle, and so that's the other thing. Sometimes you do pivot, sometimes you do regret decisions, and then sometimes it's all really good, and then it just doesn't quite get that same moment, and then other times it does extremely well, like Jack Banning versus Papoesco in that Bodega Street fight.
Oh yeah,
I mean, that was an instant classic. I mean, you could have put that match on anybody's pro wrestling television show, and fans would have loved it.
Oh yeah.
So sometimes things work out even better than you expect them to as well.
That's true. You know, I actually really I liked that Derby City match where, you know, he lost that Lucha Leave Town and then showed up basically the next you know, taping. But you know, for me, just I'm going to send it over to Scoop. But he completely redeemed himself. Crew did when he did that promo for whatever independent you know, organization he was working for. Where I think he was the first guy to tell EC3 that the Overman is just going to be Overman. And I thought, oh my God, it worked so well for me. I just marked out. So I doubt.
Everybody's used that line since him.
That's right.
Everybody.
I think he was the first guy, though. What do you got, Scooby?
Well, I was wondering, I know you're in Hollywood, but do you have any say, or do you actually work with Derby City, Memphis, and I believe, what is it, Ironheart? Do you work with them in just basically relaying storylines back and forth when and if Danny goes to for a title defense, that you want to make it make sense, and that if there are actual wrestlers that come from other quote unquote territories, that they're recognizable, that it's not like, oh, you're a heel in one territory, but you're a baby face here. Back in the day, you could do that because people really didn't know about people bouncing back and forth. But now with the internet and all that, do you guys at least try to keep in touch and keep storylines flowing from maybe one territory to the next, if it makes sense?
Well, first off, one of my favorite things about Dave Scooby is he always talks about make it make sense, because it's, to me, if it don't make sense, I don't understand the point in doing things. Again, when I sit down with the blank piece of paper and a pen, I'm not just coming up with random matches. I look back on what we did the last taping, the last few tapings, and where I want to go, and figure out, okay, I mean, the thing is, at the end of the day, we have to have people lose matches. It's just what you have to do. So you also have to find ways of not making someone constantly do the favor, and then, and trying to keep that balance of like, okay, if this guy loses a few times in a row, he's really valuable to us. We need to give him a big win the next month. And then as far as the territories go, so Peter Avalon books Derby City. And then Peter's also just the head of talent relations for United Wrestling Network. And then, so me, him, and Todd Kennelly really make up the creative team. And we're always consulting with each other. So Peter, when he gets ready to book Derby City, he'll hit me up and go, hey, here's what I'm thinking about doing. Does all of this make sense as far as everything we've been doing? Do you see any holes or any hiccups or anything that might be a red flag? So we're really good. Me and Peter are cool like that. And we just hung out a few days ago for my birthday, and we always in communication, probably too much, where it's like, hey, it's not, I know it's 9 o'clock at night, but we need to talk about something just for 5 minutes real quick. So he does a really good job of keeping in touch with me. When Dustin brings guys to Memphis, he'll check in with us and just say, hey, I'm bringing this guy in. Here's what I'm going to do with it. Does that seem to make sense and everything? And Dustin's really good about that. He watches like most of us. You know, we watch all the products and support each other. So Dustin's really smart. He already knows kind of where we're at, and we really never have an issue with him. As far as Ironheart goes, I know that they're working on some things, and it's another thing too of being in a unique position of being the booker for Hollywood. I know a lot of things, but there's some things that Dave Marquez doesn't tell me because it's his company and he's the one, running everything. So I know there's been rumblings of Championship Wrestling from Minnesota. We don't actually know a ton about that. I do know that there's been talks of doing that, but Danny did go there and defend the world title for Ironheart. And so I think they've had him back a few times, but he's also been, he defended it at Savio Vega's place in Puerto Rico. He defended it in Mexico. And so typically what will happen is Dave will talk to the promoters and say like, hey, I'm definitely okay with him coming there and defending, but he can't lose. Like this isn't.
Sure.
And I think, I don't know what type of talk it is that he has, but I'm sure there's also probably some sort of discussion of like, hey, this isn't going to be a Shane Douglas situation, like So I'm sure there's discussions that go on like that as well. But I think for the most part, one thing that I do think that I take a lot of pride in is every talent who's ever worked with me will tell you that I'm respectful, I'm professional, and I always try to be as transparent as I can be. I can't tell talent everything, but so we have a really good working relationship with a lot of different companies. AEW lets us use their guys pretty much anytime we want, as long as it schedule permits. We've even used some TNA guys before. Chris Bay, good friend of ours. I remember he came back for the inaugural Golden Opportunity Tournament. And so, that's one thing that I really pride myself on is keeping really good relationships with everybody. And sometimes it's just as simple as being a good person and being professional and being respectful, which I know a lot of people in wrestling might think that, that's weird for wrestling, but and I don't care how cliche it sounds. I tell all the talent that I work with all the time, every day that I'm in pro wrestling is a chance for me to make the business a little bit better every single day. And I think that that's really a responsibility for all of us. If we're not making the business better every day, then what the hell are we doing?
Yeah, that's really well said. I wanted to focus on one thing I thought that's coming up is absolutely great. Like we've shown the women's world title by Leather by Dan, Belts by Dan. Dan Van Alst is the maker of that. But has everybody seen the new UWN Heritage title? Look at this belt. Like, my goodness. And if I can just point out the side plates for a second, I'm wearing a certain gentleman's T-shirt right now in honor of this program. And here's the other one. Just talk about celebrating the history of the people who, who kind of got you to where we are today, right? And it just looks phenomenal. But I will say on the other side of that, and this has nothing to do with you, Daniel, but one thing that the UWN doesn't do well for me, and I don't know if you have the ability to go, hey, those three idiots who are on this is the website and the centralization of the message. I'll see it tweeted out by you or Mr. Marquez or Danny Limelight, and that's about it. But if I go to the websites, everything's buried. Nothing is obvious. Where could I find you if I lived in the U.S.? Like James H. Jackson was showing me a list. It's way down at the bottom somewhere about where it's broadcasting and when. is there any plans that you might be aware of to say we're redoing everything? You can get your, you know, the UWN as a central organization, as a governing body. Is there any kind of plans to take the website and go, here's Championship Wrestling, here's Memphis, here's whatever else derby that might be coming down the pipe. You can click on that and see everything about us. This is where you get our merch. This is where you get our news up front. Have you heard anything about that?
Well, first off, I would say that I agree with you. So I'll tell you that much right off the top. Just because that's not my lane,
Right.
I don't know a ton about that. But I will say that I'm fairly certain that Dave is aware of those things. I do know that we have a really great social media team. Our social media team is still, I think, figuring out all of all that connective tissue that you were just talking about as
Right.
well. I honestly don't know the answer to this. You would have to ask.
No worries. And if you don't,
no,
that's
no.
the answer, right?
What I was going to say is I don't know the answer to this, which is I don't know why the Hollywood show is aired on the Memphis YouTube channel.
Okay, thank you.
I honestly don't know why. You would have to ask Mr. Marquez that.
I was assumed it was the rub for Memphis,
It probably is. I think also the thing about Dave and his vision too is that we are in over 200 TV markets nationwide.
Yeah.
And I know that doesn't do much for people whose markets we aren't in, but I know very much so with as much as we put in on the production side that we want people to watch it on TV. We want YouTube to be the last resort. And we have, as you probably know from the PWI articles from Mike Jackson and stuff, we were really close to securing a TV deal, like really, really close. And we're still we're in new negotiations now. So
Great. Oh, great.
Just because we didn't get one deal doesn't mean we're not going to get another. But no, I agree. It needs to be centralized. It needs to just be streamlined to where it just makes it simpler on the viewer. As Dave Scooby would say, make it make sense, right?
Make it make sense. Mims.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm going to throw it to Jeremy, but let me just say, as I cough here, someone pay Lamb Sun Vu to do it. That guy's your biggest weapon right now.
Man. I love me some Lamb. Yeah.
Yeah, I am a Lamb.
I try to give him stuff to post to, and
There you go. He'll be laughing right now hearing that. Over to you there, Championship Wrestling from Jeremy.
Okay. When you're looking to the main event scene and you're looking to move someone into the main event, what qualities are you looking for? What characteristics, all of that? Just what is it that you're looking for when you look to book a new face in the main event scene?
Great question. Well, you'll be seeing some of that soon. I'll say that. And for me, it has to be a combination of things. I'm not looking for someone to do the craziest, wildest, flippy dippy stuff.
Right.
Stone Cold Steve Austin never did a flip in his life. Right. The Rock. You look at Bret Hart, as much of a technician as he was, he maybe came off the second rope with a double drop every once in a blue moon. So like, I'm really looking for a number of key ingredients. If we were putting together a recipe, I'm looking for a number of key ingredients. Number one, are you easy to work with? If you're a locker room cancer or you're someone that's always difficult to work with, probably not going to move up the ladder. Number two, we need match quality. We need really good match quality. And I think that's one thing that I do pride us on. I think when you look at our product, when you hit play and watch our show for 1 hour, it's one of the stronger hours of pro wrestling on television that exists because
100%.
of match quality,
Mm-hmm.
very distinctive characters, storytelling, and again, making people want to tune back in. So I'm looking for match quality. I'm looking for a very distinct character. You have it all flushed out. You know, are you the golden boy? Are you the radioactive poppy? Are you the benevolent one? So on and so forth. Are you the outlandish one? I mean, Zicky Dice's run with the heritage title in the age of outlandishment, as I called it, was so good because it was completely opposite of like what heritage is.
Right.
So looking for all those key ingredients. Can you cut a promo? That's very important. If you're going to be one of our top guys, can you do a pre-taped promo in like less than 2 or 3 takes? Can you do a backstage segment effectively to where we get what we need? My favorite backstage segment that I ever came up with that my guys completely executed perfectly was when Jordan Clearwater and Cash attacked Danny backstage and kicked the cinder block into his head. If you all remember that segment.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing. We don't have 20 cinder blocks lying around. Like it's one take. We literally had to get it in one take. And if we didn't get it in one take, then that 2.5 minute segment wasn't going to air on the show, and we were going to have to come up with some new 2.5 minute segment that day to film to take its place. So, you know, and I knew all of those guys were capable. So I think the really important things are being a good person, not being difficult to work with, having good match quality, being a very distinct, specific, clear-cut character to when you walk through the curtain, the crowd knows who you are, being able to tell the story, and being able to do the things outside of the ring that really matter, like promos and segments as well, because that's really where a lot of the storytelling happens in a pro wrestling television show.
Yeah, absolutely. Lamb just put this up. Speaking of Zicky Dice, listen to his new single, Emergency Contact, now on Spotify and Apple Music.
Talented dude, man. Zicky's a talented dude.
Yes, absolutely. What do you say, Scoob?
Well, Daniel, I was going to ask when and or will Jordan Clearwater return?
Ooh, just straight out.
Well, I mean, he's married. He's been doing the bodybuilding stuff as well as the wrestling, but will he come back? Because I love what he does as a wrestler. I enjoyed him being in the NWA, but it didn't come across the same way as what he does at Championship Wrestling.
100%.
And I mean, if wherever he goes, if he can be that character, I'll watch.
Sure. Well, I remember Jeremy one time on one of your all's pods talking about how he wishes the UWN Clearwater was in the NWA. And look, I've got a lot of friends at the NWA. I've got friends in pretty much every promotion, but not just Aaron, but I'm friends with a lot of guys in the NWA, and I'm really happy for them and proud of them for what they're doing. But sometimes it is, and this is, I'm not trying to take shots at anybody. Sometimes it's about how you position the talent. Jordan clearly is capable of being a main event guy. We've proven that. He's excellent. All those ingredients we just talked about, he covers all the bases.
Yep.
He really knows how to work a crowd. And one thing that I think that really surprised me in a great way was when at 75 he came out as a complete face.
Yep.
And a lot of times, some of your best baby faces started out as a heel and the crowd learned to love your work so much as being the bad guy that now they want to cheer for you. And I think that's what happened at 75 was he came out and just had a whole new vibe and a whole new aura to him. And the fans were like, yep, you've earned this. We're cheering for you. And I thought he was super impressive at 75. What's going on with him in NWA, I'm not sure. I do know that right around the time our hiatus started, he got married, like you said. He went on a honeymoon. He also bought a house, which in Los Angeles is very difficult to do and very expensive, and the moving process and all that. So I know he needed some time off, really just to like, hey, I'm married. I need to go on a honeymoon. I need to get a house. So, sometimes wrestlers just need time for life as well. It was not in any way, shape, or form I lost my smile kind of thing at all. We just talked a few nights ago. He's doing extremely well. I think there's a lot of interest right now for Jordan Clearwater from almost every company, and I think that's a really good thing. I can't speak for him on if he will be back in United Wrestling Network. I think that he definitely knows anytime he's ready, all he has to do is let us know. And I'm not sure what's going on with NWA, but I know that he is still training. The man works really hard. And he's one of those guys that like goes to the gym at like 6:30 in the morning. Like he's one of those kind of guys. So I know he's staying ready, and I think he's probably at the point where he's sort of weighing all of his options and trying to figure out exactly where to pounce. And if that means coming back, to Hollywood, or if that means back to the NWA, or that means somewhere else, I think he's at a point that he's earned where, similar to like, in a way, he's similar to a couple of the other top free agents like Jacob Fatu, Alexander Hammerstone, my buddy Richard Holiday. These guys have sort of earned the time to figure out what their next move is. And I told Jordan, I respect that. So take all the time you need. If you want to come back, we're here. And if you feel like you need to make a move somewhere else, I'll support that too, because there's too much there's too much segregation with fans in pro wrestling these days. And really a lot of us behind the scenes, just because NWA is my competition doesn't mean that I'm not friends with the guys that work there. Just because TNA is competition, or New Japan Strong, I'm still friends with a lot of those guys. So at the end of the day, we want each other to be happy, and you kind of just never know where somebody else's mindset is. Sometimes somebody just feels like it's time to make a shift somewhere else. Sometimes they feel like they need to take time off. And as we know throughout wrestling history, nothing will make the fans love you even more than just a little bit of time off.
Yep.
How can we miss you if you won't go away? I've had people say that to me before on several occasions. our man James H. Jackson Jr. Talking about Jordan Clearwater, the golden opportunity, man. That was some of the best TV storylines. Him, Invictus Cash, Limelight. Y'all really know what you're doing. So he's a big UWN guy. I wanted to. I'm going to let Jeremy kind of give you the last question, but I wanted to give you the opportunity first to let's talk about this. Let me, if I can figure out how to do. Hey, look at that! Hey, I did it. The big return from hiatus, which I believe happens this month on the 25th. Championship Wrestling from Hollywood Live TV taping 5 p.m. Doors open, 5:30 bell time at Infinite Studios, or whatever they used to be called, Thunder, right? Used to be called Thunder Studios. I know your tickets on sale now. You got some major matches coming up. You want to run through them for us?
Sure. As you see on the screen, The first matchup is an interesting one because we've got the day one player, Pretty Peter Avalon, the man who literally wrestled in the first ever match in Championship Wrestling from Hollywood history, facing a guy who is going in his first ever match in Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, Matt Vandegrift, who is out of Vegas. He's a graduate of the New Japan Dojo here in LA. High flyer, so it should be a nice little clash of styles. And we're going to tell a really good story there with, again, the guy who had wrestled the first ever match versus the guy who's having his first match. So I think that should be exciting. The next one kind of needs not much explanation. You've got Benevolent Jack Banning, who's our United World Television Champion, who's now held the belt for over a year, very impressive fashion, against a man in Outlandish Zicky Dice, who is no stranger to television titles, being a former NWA World Television Champion, also a former United Heritage Champion. He's also contended for the United World title against Danny Limelight at one point. That should be an excellent main event. We also have Papa Esco making his return for the first time since the Bodega Street fight, going off against I know Jeremy's a big fan of Bodega. He's also a big fan of, who's your favorite tag team, Jeremy?
Beef Candy.
Love that. So Papo against El Primo Henio, and Primo's been on a nice little run. Yeah, we got the world tag titles on the line between TMZ's Bad Dude Tito and Che Cabrera defending against Wild West, which is Big Hoss and Rob McKnight. And then, of course, in women's action, we have J-Rod facing off against Alex Gracia, and this is the first time they've ever wrestled anywhere. So that's and Peter and Matt, first time they've ever wrestled anywhere as well. And then, we announced, I think, during the show that Danny will be there as well, competing as the world champ. And then we'll be announcing tomorrow Savannah Stone, who's our number one contender for the women's title. She'll be there. We also have EJ Sparks versus Evan Daniels, which I think that's a very, very much a sleeper match.
Hey, we got the Booker corners. Let me just say, EJ Sparks, push that guy.
I love me some popping EJ Sparks. And he's only been getting better and better. I think when you really look at the story that he told, his specific story in the Red Carpet Rumble last year of being from Phoenix, coming in at number one in Arizona, Bateman coming in at number two, and then later on, after Bateman goes through, this terror of eliminating everybody, EJ's the one that eliminates Bateman. And just when he gets his pop, Clearwater throws out EJ from behind, and it was just a chef's kiss on that one. We've got a lot of more guys that we'll be announcing in the days to come. One guy that I'm really excited that we have with us now is actually a guy that I met on set of Young Rock. He's a 6'8" wrestler named the Lone Stranger Buck Skinner, and you will actually see Buck in his UWN debut this Sunday when the new episode drops for the new season. He's a 6'8" guy from Arkansas who he actually played Blackjack Mulligan on Young Rock. And he's out here now. He trained under Johnny Rods in New York for quite some time, and then he came out to here and kind of asked me what he needed to do to get on the show, and I gave him some pointers and whatnot. He listened to everything. He went to the LA dojo, trained with Fred Rosser and them, and got just even better and graduated from there. And so New Japan has been using him some, and now he's on our TV show. Great talent, 6'8", which those don't come around all the time.
They do not.
And then you'll also see this coming week Dom Kubrick, who I'm sure you know from the show. crazy athletic guy who's been with us for a long time. He'll be debuting in a new tag team this weekend with Lucas Riley. So you can catch them in action this week as well, along with Buck. And then, like I said, Jordan Cruz and Judiz are in that main event this weekend. But then on the 25th, that'll be our second taping of the year. We're really excited for all those matches that you posted up, and we'll be announcing a couple more talents in the next days to come too.
Awesome. Yeah, we're looking forward to it. Actually, before I give it to you, Jeremy, because I know you wanted to ask an acting question or two about Young Rock there, but Scoop, you when you were writing in our Discord there, you had a question about if he were fantasy booking, what would he come on? What did you write there? You probably know. Scooby wrote to me, ask Daniel if he had any fantasy booking he'd like to do in the UWN. If you were able to take 2 guys, 4 guys, what would you look at, Scooby? What would you want to see from Daniel? And what would Daniel give us?
Well, when I look at booking something, they always say, like, in music, there's roughly 20 melodies that you can use. In books, there's 7 stories, but you find different ways to tell. I would like to look back and see what's happened. You can go back even as short as 7 to 10 years ago. What happened storyline wise in maybe the WWE, or even go back as far as WCW and go, what were some of the big storylines that worked and how can we put a spin on them? Could you ever go in and do, like, if you find the right person, like in WWE, if they had Ronda Rousey, if they would have actually tried to work her into being a female Stone Cold, would it have worked? In my eyes, no. But you look and see, whether it be a famous tag team, if you can rework some stuff from the past. Not everybody knows about the past in wrestling. That right now, and I mean, it's probably been the last 10, 15 years of people want instant gratification. And I like the long storytelling. But even at my age, I'm 55, I'm like, I know they're stretching out the story, but I want to know what happens. I want to see what direction they're going. I really don't know. I like that Danny has been a fighting champion, but style-wise, he matches up with just about anybody because he can do the high flying, he can get down and dirty when needed. But storyline wise, what's going to happen with the Bodega? I love them as a group, but there just seems to be there's almost an unwritten story there, and it's him and Slice Boogie. What's going to actually happen? I don't want to see a NWO type thing, finger poke of doom, anything like that, but I'd like to see a good storyline where Papo either can't decide which way to go and he's torn, or it's one of these things of, hey, we're a group, but right now we have to battle each other. But on the other side, we'll come back and we'll basically hug it out.
I can assure you there will be no finger poke of doom. I promise you that.
All right. You got to cut that out. Jay, if you're watching, you got to cut that out. No finger poke of doom.
And I will say, I do have pretty much everything you just brought up figured out. Just a matter of rolling it out. We when you start watching these new episodes, which start this Sunday, you're really going to start seeing the layers of the onion peel back on that.
Or the pineapple, apparently, according to Lamb.
Or the pineapple. Yeah,
the pineapple of doom.
You know, when me and Peter went shopping for all of the things for the Bodega Street fight, and we had the cookie sheets and the trash can and this and that, and I looked over and I saw a pineapple and I said, you know what the great thing about this is? And he was like, what? And I started rubbing it on my forehead. And the lady in the store looked at me like I was nuts. I said, it looks like it would really hurt, but it doesn't. And the pineapple got a major pop. So we probably won't revisit the pineapple during this Bodega storyline, but we start peeling back the layers of the onion as early as this week. I think not just this week, but especially next week's episode, I think a lot of people will be shocked at some of the things that start to transpire. I know people are going to be shocked at a lot of the things that start to transpire. There's going to be some major shocks this week. And I think anytime you go into a new year, it's good to bring in some fresh new faces. It's good to try out some new talent. Sometimes some storylines, a hiatus can kind of, put some storylines on hold. You never really want to kill them. So I always try to find a payoff. So that's why I really wanted to get back to Judiz and Jordan Cruz, because they told that story so well. And they're both of just such great wrestlers. I mean, the sky's the limit for both of them. But going back to what Scooby was talking about as well, one of the things that I do a lot of actually is I do look back to things that had been done before and try to do my own twist on them. So like I talked about, the 1, 2, 3 Kid Razor Ramon moment was something that I really wanted to do. Golden Opportunity, when I came up with that, I wanted to come up with a modern day twist on the King of the Ring tournament, and nobody had ever done a triple threat tournament. And so I thought, okay, well, if we do 3 triple threats, and then the winner of each one then has to face each other in a triple threat, and then you win that, and you don't need a crown. Like we know you won it,
right?
And then that gives you a world title shot. So like that was another thing. And then one of the things that, being from Louisville, I really grew up a ton on USWA, and I'll never forget watching it when Eddie Gilbert ran over Jerry Lawler in his car. And like 4,000 people called the police station.
Yeah.
And said, like, Jerry Lawler's got ran over. And so I look. There's a lot of stuff that I see from the Jarretts and from Cornette and from Eddie Gilbert and from 80s and 90s Southern wrestling that I like to put my own twist on too. It's like when we did Limelight versus Clearwater 2, and Clearwater got to call his shot for what kind of match it was. I wanted to do a lumberjack match because nobody in wrestling really ever does a good lumberjack match.
Yeah,
it's almost always a bunch of guys standing on the apron. You throw him out, he gets beat up. You throw him back in, yada yada yada. And I wanted to. And that's something we hadn't done here in a while. And I felt like we needed some sort of stipulation. And I, like a lot of you, think there's still meat on the bone too for Clearwater Limelight 3 eventually, down the line, whether it's for a title or not. So, yeah, all great questions. I will say also Dave Scooby's intro music to Fantasy Booker is a banger. I don't know where y'all got that music from. Did you create that, Dave?
Oh, no.
Oh.
No,
Oh,
Jeremy did.
Oh, Jeremy?
Jeremy made that thing, man. That's
you made
awesome.
that beat, Jeremy?
No, bro, that's stock.
Okay.
Oh, I think it made a video. Yeah.
That was stock audio that was on the app that I created it on.
I was like, if you made that, you need to call up Project Pat and Juicy J, and you need to start making beats for 3-6. Everybody just go ahead.
I'm sure Dave is too modest to say anything, but on his behalf, he's probably available for consultations at a very reasonable rate. I just want to throw that out there.
Good to know.
Hey,
Good to know. I appreciate you guys every week talking about, what we're doing, even when we weren't airing new stuff. But I think I know that after you watch Sunday's episode, you're going to have a lot to unpack. And when you get into the episode after that, the layers to the onion really start becoming even more. And so hang tight. Please tune in and watch. For those of you that are in Southern California or nearby, join us on Sunday, February 25th. Again, we'll have world champion Danny Limelight, women's #1 contender Savannah Stone, Banning versus Zicky for the TV title, TMZ versus the Wild West for the world tag titles, and J-Rod and Alex Gracia, Peter Avalon, Matt Vandegrift, and some more new talent that we didn't even have on the January show. And as we, we're kind of right now on the road to Red Carpet Rumble, and as we draw closer to that, we'll be using these next. We use January for it, we use February for it. When we get into March, it'll become even more clear to everybody of like what the card at the Rumble is going to look like, and I'm looking forward to it. If we do have it at Infinite Reality Studios, formerly known as Thunder Studios, it's a really big, nice venue. So a Rumble would look really good in there, and that's where we had Primetime Live, the Primetime Live series back in the day during the pandemic was filmed in Thunder.
Well, it looks great.
So but thank you all for every week, constantly talking about UWN and various promotions throughout the United States.
Various promotions around the world. That's right.
But we appreciate you guys, and I look forward to catching up and seeing what you think about the new things that we're doing.
Absolutely. We'll definitely look forward to having you back. Thank you so much for being here, and we appreciate you, and we intend to continue to crow louder than ever, in fact, about the United Wrestling Network. So all the best to you and everybody over at the UWN.
Appreciate you.
Great. Thanks for being here. All right. I'll take Daniel out there, and guys, it's been fun. This has been one of my favorite episodes actually so far. We got for everybody in the chat. That's pretty funny. There you go, Jared. You'll be able to tell a certain someone that the Red Carpet Rumble will happen soon. Some suggestions of other promotions we should be looking at. We're UWN. We'll do some major league as well as we move forward. But after our pro wrestling pivot, we'll kind of figure it out as we go along. But we do have another interview, guys, next week. We're talking to Vinny Berry from Wrestleville about his new book on Black Bart. So looking forward to that as well. We'll have some, obviously, what's going on with the UWN. We're going to have some more fantasy booking. We're going to talk about MLW and what's going on over there, because there's another card ramping up, and this has been great. I've had a great time. Thanks everybody for being here. And probably should have had the video tuned up. We're a professional podcast. Until next time, we'll see you at the matches.
Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.